I was the kind of guy who didn't know what he wanted to do in life, so I went to business school, which is the college for the lost in Egypt. Everyone who doesn't know what he wants to do, he goes to business school. So I graduated, I worked in a bank. I used the bank to pitch ideas to celebrities. I used to work in a fancy big bank in Cairo. Once someone told me, you have a great idea, I just quit my job and I went to the US and I studied film. But I always had this thing of telling stories, writing songs. I just knew I had something artistic. I just didn't put my finger on it. So I started with the writing thing. I came back to Egypt from the US after going to school. I wrote 4 films. I was lucky enough to get, and this is something one of my teachers told me, if you have a good script, you can throw it out of the window and it's going to be made. This is what happened. In just 2 years, I made a film with the biggest director in Egypt. So far, it's the most film that made money that is action, and it's very famous. It's called, like, it's the godfather of Egyptian cinema. And I made the other 2 films. They were all blockbusters, but I still felt there's something I need to do. Something's missing. The story that is told by the screenwriter, it's told by someone else. It's, at the end, it's not his story. So I thought at the end, whether I'm gonna be a novelist or I have to study directing. And definitely through seeing my 4 films being made, I studied a lot about directing. And I read a lot of books. I had friends who are directors. And I just, as usual, I said I have to jump in the water. And that's what I did. I found an idea and I made it into a film. Something that I really was passionate about. That was the Cairo 678. My English, I studied English through films. I think in this new world and the thing that is really shaping our ideas, our minds, the way that we think is films. I'm talking about myself. Hollywood for me was something like a dream. And as you grow again, this is the new educational way to talking to the world, to getting closer. It's the best way of communication, film and visual. No one reads anymore. Most of the world watches film. What you know about Egypt is actually from films. What you know about any culture is actually from films. So I think right now, as a grown man, I think the best way of communication, the best way to get people together, the best way of expressing what you want to say is film. Well, I can't say I have a certain style yet. What I have is a style for this film. Like my next film's not gonna be the same. The first film is a docudrama kind of style. I wanted the film to feel so real, especially when the sexual harassment case is not taken seriously in Egypt, so I needed it to feel so real. So I used the docudrama style, but my next film is gonna be different. To create my own style and to say I have something like Martin Scorsese, which all his films they have the similar way of directing. That needs years of making films and deciding at the end, this is me. Well, the first day I didn't do anything. So, like the first scene, I told people, hey, let's go. And they told me, no, you have to say action. And I said, let's go, action. And they say, no, you have to say sound, and you have to, like, there's a couple of things and techniques to start with. But I knew I was confident. It felt like the first day at school. I knew what I wanted to do. I just didn't know how to say it at the beginning. Another big thing was jumping the ship of screenwriting means that you're going to lose all your contacts. And if you failed, you might not get work again. So that was very scary. A lot of people thought, okay, you're a good screenwriter, but you're doing this, you're probably not going to be a good writer, a good director. So I needed to prove myself. So it was a big, big challenge. A lot of people, even the people who believe in me, they told me don't do this. So it was a big thing for me, and I had to prove myself. So I took the time. I made the film in 2 years, and I just started reading and understand and asking everybody about directing who is a friend of mine who's a director, just like a student. And lucky enough, the film has won lots of awards. It's considered one of the biggest Egyptian films that won awards abroad, and it was distributed all around the world. So I've been so lucky, I can't complain. I wanted to direct the moment my first film was made. Once you see that your idea is not what you envisioned it, you just, again, I thought I have to have full control, whether to be a novelist or a director. And every time I made another film, during the 4 films before I direct, I just felt, okay, there is something missing here. This is not me. Maybe sometimes the film is even better than I envisioned, but it's not me. So that's when I really realized I wanted to be a director. Back when I was a kid, I didn't know what did the director do. I just knew I always thought he's like, I used to say, oh, this is a good director by the movement of the camera or whatever. I didn't know the director is blocking the scene, is the one who controls the actors, every single thing. So, and as I told you, I didn't know what I wanted to do. But now, after directing, it's gonna be very, very hard to write again. I think every single time I'm going to write a film, I have to direct it. Egyptian films, we have the past and we have the future. The past, Egypt was one of the biggest countries in the world that produced films. In the 60s, the second income for Egypt was through films. In Egypt, in the Arab world, Egypt is Hollywood of the Arab world. Every Arab guy knows Egyptian dialect and the accent because of the amount of Egyptian films that they say. The past couple of years, the past 20 or 30 years, Egypt hasn't been that strong as it was. But the past 5 years, I see a new wave of new directors who want to make films that are really matter, make films that with international standards. Like this year, we have like 4 or 5 films that are touring the world. Lucky enough, we had the revolution at the same time. That was the biggest publicity stunt for Egyptian artists. So, but thank God we had films that are really were ready for this moment. So I think the next maybe 10 years or something, what we wish for is something like the new Mexican wave. The new directors from Mexico that crossed the line and made films in abroad and back home, and they were both successful. And that's what we wish to do.